It is absolutely difficult to gain muscle when you are grappling a lot on the mat. However, it is doable. And this is me talking about a previous client of mine called Zaid. And we're going to basically talk about the nutrition fueling strategy we used to get him from 92 kilograms to 97 kilograms in a pretty short time frame, right? What's extremely special about this journey is that he still moves forward when most people are making excuses. He still moves forward with enthusiasm. What I'm going to be covering today is the background info and how I actually set everything up for him, the hurdles we encountered along the way and how we solved them, and I'm going to touch on dirty bulking versus clean bulking, right? Because it's very easy to do the easy thing. However, is that actually the right thing to do? It may benefit us in grappling. However, what is going to benefit us long term, right? So I will talk about that ever so slightly, and I'm going to show you all the meal plans in which got him from A to B. So the background info is he is a head coach of a gym in London, and he coaches 10 to 15 hours per week. So if any of you are watching that are head coaches, you know this exact same situation, right? He started at 92 kilograms. He did drop down to 91, and that currently sits him at bottom of the heavyweight division weight class. He couldn't use fancy apps to track his data. He couldn't weigh his food. Everything was off cup weights, feel, hand-sized portions, tablespoons. So for those of you that don't like weighing their food because they can't be arsed, because they think it takes enough too much time, he doesn't have that luxury, but he still gets it done, right? For those that are new to the channel, welcome. My name's Paul Green, and I am a purple belt myself. I've got 7 years of grappling experience, and I'm a former British paratrooper, Special Forces Sport Group operator. How we set things up, right? I need to look at his body weight, I need to look at his body composition, and I need to basically say to myself, well, how much food does he need to eat based on how much output he is doing, right? But I've also got another thing that I need to think about in this moment, is does he have the ability to digest the food? Because remember, I'm putting him on a nutrient-dense meal plan in order to make him build muscle, not randomly build fat. So what I've done is I've set him up on 2 lifting sessions per week, and I've said to him optional 3, right? We've got the upper body, lower body, and upper body split, so upper, lower, upper. I'll show you a couple of videos of him training here. You can see the technique. We worked on technique on his training, making sure everything is full range of motion, good tempo, but most importantly, he was training to a high intensity in the gym. These are weighted pull-ups as well, which is pretty impressive considering his body weight. And remember, if you want to build muscle, there is absolutely no way around training to a high intensity in the weight room. And I'm talking close to failure. If you don't know what high intensity looks like, it's not getting the muscle working to a point where it feels uncomfortable, then stopping the set. It is literally going until your muscle cannot go anymore. That is how you build muscle. And you think, building muscle, what's the point in that? If without muscle mass, you can't have strength. Without strength, you can't have power. Without power, you can't have speed. It all starts as muscle mass as a foundation, right? And in order for you to have that level of intensity in your training sessions consistently, you need to have the right fuel. One of the main reasons people can't get these types of results is because they cannot consistently stick to a high performance meal plan for long enough. In the description, I have a link that has a free resource on high performance fueling, and my only goal with that resource is to build something for free that you can consistently stick to. This works because it's based off your preferences. So I did touch on training, but it was so important that he was training to the right intensity in the gym, right? Because all of this counts for nothing if he's not training to the right intensity in the gym. You can see technique, full range of motion, pausing at the bottom, just absolutely beautiful. And I was coaching him with his technique, making sure that he wasn't cutting any corners in the gym, because very easy It's very easy for anybody to cut corners in the gym, and I wanted him to build muscle, which built performance, right? So, as you can see, this video is about the nutrient side of life. So let's get into the next one. So, based off his numbers, and based off his weight, his body composition at the start, I've made the decision to put him on 4,000 calories to start off with, right? Because I know for a fact he's burning more than that. I know for a fact he's probably burning about 5,000. That'd be him at maintenance. And most of you head coaches that are watching this video, you're probably at maintenance at about 5,000, especially if you're doing weights as well. But I can guarantee barely any of yous are eating 5,000 calories every day. So I'm basically thinking I don't want to start him off with too much food because he'll have a meltdown. He won't be able to stick to it. So what I did is I pulled the numbers back. Even though I knew that 5,000 would be probably maintenance for him, I've put him on 4,000 just to improve his ability to digest these nutrient-dense foods. Hopefully that makes sense, because I didn't want to put his digestive system in fight or flight because he's eating completely different foods. I wasn't willing to take that risk, so I erred on the side of caution, as I intended to rebuild his metabolism for performance, right? So the meal plan 1 is 4,000 calories. I made the change pretty quickly to meal plan 2, which was 4,800 calories, and then meal plan 3, which is what's seen him through the finish line, which was 6,000 calories. And because he's blind, it was all cups, tablespoons, and hand portions. We didn't use any scales because he couldn't see the fucking number on the scales, right? And the key rule is, this is the awful thing, right, by the way. When you're not hungry, you need to eat, and that is an awful thing. Having to get out of bed and just eat within 20 minutes of getting out of bed is really, really awful. It's an annoying thing to have to do, but it was his mission, and we'll talk more about that. So, meal plan 1, and you see there's a lot of food here, right? 4,000 calories, oats, 1 cup of oats, 1 banana sliced, 2 tablespoons of almond butter, 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 cups of full fat milk. He can eat that normally, like a bowl of oats in the microwave, whatever, or like I recommended to him, because we want to improve digestibility, he can just smash that in a smoothie so it digests really quick, then he can train on that pretty quickly. So if you don't have that, if you just have all of that and then eat the oats cold, the oats haven't been like kind of processed, so your body has to then process, your digestive system has to process them. So by blending them, you improve the digestibility. And I said that to him. I was like, mate, you've got a choice. Make this into porridge, eat this in a tub, have it as overnight oats, or even probably better, more suitable for him, because he needs to start thinking about getting the calories in, make it into a smoothie. Do you know what I mean? It's then down in 20 seconds. Then he can train, right? He gets back from the gym and he's got an omelette, 6 eggs, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 handful of grated cheese. Meal 3, noon, maybe a little bit after noon, 1 large chicken breast or thighs, 4 large thighs, 1 cup of white rice, 1 cup of spinach, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Meal 4, pan-fried salmon, brown rice, broccoli, 2 salmon fillets, 1 cup of cooked rice, 1 cup of steamed broccoli, and 2 tablespoons of butter, cooking his salmon in butter. And then a snack on the night, peanut butter and banana sandwich, 2 slices of whole wheat bread, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, 1 banana sliced, and 2 tablespoons of jam, right? So he's got jam, peanut butter, and banana. Honestly, pure hormones right there. But he needs it, right? And 4,000 calories. As you can see, a lot of these options are nutrient dense. These are options that you wouldn't class as being calorie dense and in a bulking or a weight gain recomposition, because that's exactly what we're talking about here. Him putting on muscle, but him adding performance into his toolbox on the mats. So at the end of week 1, I get a message, mate, I'm 91 kg, I've lost weight. And he was mind blown by this because the volume of the food that he was eating was more. However, volume of food doesn't necessarily equate to calorie density, right? And it was my coaching principle that I used was, look, I'm not willing to put him... I knew this was going to happen, but I had to give his body an opportunity, a window to be able to digest the food, because it's not about how much food you can eat. It's about how much food you can digest. Do you know what I mean? So I have to kind of progressively overload his digestive system so that he can actually digest this high amount of food. So I laugh and I'm like, mate, just chill out, calm yourself down. This is to be expected, and it was something that I was actually planning for, right? Because another thing as well, the brain, like I say the digestive system there, but the brain is actually not conditioned to eat that amount of food as well, right? And again, it was week 1. I didn't want to demoralise him and set him straight up for a, oh, this is going to be the most miserable 3 or 4 months of my life. I can't do this. I wanted to err on the side of being conservative, and I recommend you all doing so for the first few weeks. Be conservative. Don't be crazy, right? So the nutrient-dense foods, with his output and the weightlifting, created his body into an absolute furnace, right? Previously, he's grappling just 10 to 15 hours per week without any weightlifting. But with the weightlifting and the saunas, the repair and regeneration, honestly, his body was digesting this food. You can absolutely guarantee that. So we had to change the meal plan, which was week 2. And this is setting him closer to that number, that maintenance number that I kind of predicted. However, this was a necessary change. So on week 2, the meal plan was 4,800 calories. And all I've done here is added a nice, highly calorie dense snack for his evening. And it's basically Greek yogurt with berries, dark chocolate and honey. So it's like a Black Forest Gatto type of yogurt. So 2 cups of Greek yogurt, 2 cups of mixed berries, half a bar of dark chocolate, 2 tablespoons of honey. So high fat, decent amount of carbs here as well, and yeah, a little bit of protein. So this was a great change. So that was the second meal plan addition. The rest of the meal plan, the foundations, were the same as before, and then the overarching progression that unfolded from this point onwards was, from that week 2, we got his weight up to 92 again. So happy days, the weight's moving in the right direction, and the strength is increasing, which is important. If his strength was increasing, because I was looking at his numbers in the gym and his videos that he was sending me, I'm able to assume that he is gaining muscle mass, because I'm looking at the numbers. He's training to the maximum intensity till failure. His numbers are increasing, so therefore he is gaining muscle mass. Simple as that. The weight is increasing as well. I had him weighing himself every week. However, for most people, I get them weighing themselves every day. But because of him and the hassle it would have created, weigh himself every week. And as you can see, the weight started rising. So gets to week 4, it rises again by about 1 kilo. And then it dropped off to 92.5, where I'm like, okay, right, we're kind of stalling here. So I've then pushed it again. But one thing that I'm extremely happy about is the fact that his strength was increasing, because I know that his muscle mass is increasing. It's just that we wanted to see the scales increase, because obviously we don't want him to lose fat and then gain muscle. We want him to gain muscle and gain a little bit of fat as well. So weight stalled, and we need to get it back on the rise again. So this is the biggest change we made in meal plan 3. 6,000 calories, right? And from that point onwards, we get to week 6, 93.7, and then it creeps up all the way to week 9, where we were at 97, right? And then week 13, we're at 98. I didn't make another change to his meal plan after week 5. So from that point onwards, it was plain sailing. But in my head, the first few weeks were just introducing him to high performance, nutrient dense foods that were high in calories, right? It's important to do that first, rather than give him this to start off with. He wouldn't have been able to stick to it. So the additions that I made, and remember, the additions that I make and the additions you should make in your own journeys as well, you should do it in a way that is very subtle, right? What I mean by that is, it's not a shock to the system. You do not want any of this to be a shock to the system, even though it's hard, right? It's hard stuff. The final adjustment I made, week 5, meal plan 3, the 6,000er, was I give him 2 shakes. 2 more shakes. So Huel is a brand in the UK and probably worldwide now actually. It's, you know, mostly ground oats, flax seeds and pea protein. 2 shakes, one with full fat milk, one with water. And that gave him an extra 1,200 calories, right? So that was his meal plan. It was the foundations that we set here, the additional evening snack, and then with the 2 extra shakes. It's a lot of food, by the way. Like, you probably feel sick at the thought of eating all that. However, if you have these goals and you have these ambitions and you have this mentality, you can absolutely achieve this. But you need to do it in the right way, because you set yourself up too far, with too much, too soon. You're not going to be able to digest it. You're not even going to be able to think about digesting it, right? So you have to build yourself up, just like you do in the gym. You have to build your tolerance up, your digestive tolerance up for this. And that's one of the things that in my head, I didn't really explain this to him. I just had to let him, you know, feel it himself, because I don't like to overload the lads on my program with information. I do it by accident, but I knew that that was a high priority on my coaching list to be conservative for a few different reasons, because it's not just about how much food you're eating, it's how well you digest that food, right? So where Zaid is at now is he's at the top of the weight division, and as you can see, muscle mass on his frame is absolutely quality. So he's not only where he wants to be with regards to his weight, he's also gained more muscle, he's got more strength, and he now actually enjoys the gym. But he's also got a foundation of food which he knows works for him. Do you know what I mean? So what I say by leading by example is the people in his gym now started training, they started lifting more, they started eating a bit better, because he documented this. He documented this journey, and he was showing videos of himself in the gym and stuff like that, winding up all of his students, saying, "What the hell's your excuse?" And they're like, "Fuck's sake," and they're dragging themselves to the gym as well. Unbelievable stuff, right? But most importantly, there's a misconception in the jiu-jitsu space: you can't build muscle while you are coaching 10 to 15 hours a week. Well, he's blind and he did it, so yes, you can, right? Simple as that. So the main takeaway from this is he's a father as well, by the way. He's not just some young singleton that can do whatever he wants. His missus just had their second little one, you know, when he was just about to start his first training session on my program. He's blind, so he's got all of the you know, vision limitations, right? And he did it. Yeah, I mapped out his sessions. I went to his gym and I mapped out the routes of his sessions. So upper body 1 was like 12 steps forward, turn left, 16 steps forward, then the pull-up bar is on your right, and then I'd map out the route to his next exercise, so he could train independently. I didn't want him to have to rely on anybody. I wanted him just to think, I've got time to train today, I'm training. Just simple stuff. But I'm not here to talk about his training, I'm here to talk about his food. Yes, the meal plan made it easy for him to be able to eat the right amount of food that was required. When he didn't get the results that he was wanting, or the results that I was wanting as his coach, I knew what changes to make. You've got my thought processes on that front as well. But the most important thing, it started from his ambition to want more for himself. He was sat at 92 kilograms. He wasn't happy with that. He wanted to be 97 kilograms. He knew that was going to improve his grappling game. He knew that was going to improve his grappling performance if he did it well. And one of the things that he said to me at the start, he's like, "Mate, look, I'm happy to do this dirty. I'm happy to just get the calories in." And I said, "Mate, I'm like, no. The amount he's grappling, if he did this in a dirty manner, he would just lose that fat straight away. The fact that he does it with muscle, if he maintains his maintenance calories, he's going to keep that muscle for a long time." So during this process, he clearly, his ambition and his desire to execute on that ambition inspired a lot of people in his area, a lot of people at his gym, to get off their arse as well. So, and I keep saying this to everybody, the only thing that separates you and Zaid is his mentality. Do you know what I mean? And mentality is the first thing we a line on the longevity program.